What's up, YouTube? This is Carolina Calvin coming back to you with another video, and I want to talk about, give my review of the conferences for day 3 of E3 2018. Now, Sony's conference and Square Enix conference were short. Ubisoft about around the length they usually go at. So I decided to include all of them just because of how short Square Enix and Sony's was. But I'm gonna start in order. Of course, give my rating of the entire conference. Let's start with Square Enix. Of course, they went first. I believe like 4 p.m. EST. But let's go through what they did show. They started with Shadow of the Tomb Raider. They showed more in-depth gameplay than anyone else. I think it was shown at Microsoft's as well. They showed more gameplay. Lara Croft at this point is the Predator. They showed a lot of the stealth combat. Looks good. Definitely a game we'll be looking at when it does drop in September. So Shadow of the Tomb Raider, really good showing for that. Next they showed Captain Spirit. I think this was shown at Microsoft. Supposed to be like in the same world as Life is Strange or whatever. I don't really care about that. Next they showed Babylon's Fall, which is a platinum game. No real gameplay, but we do know they're working on that. Coming out 2019, no official date. So maybe next year's E3 we'll learn a lot more, see some gameplay. They showed Just Cause 4. They showed more in-depth stuff because you saw that at Microsoft's. They showed like destructible environments, well, more destruction, dynamic weather. You saw like a tornado. You saw sandstorms. You saw blizzards. So it just adds to, you literally saw the dude with a grappling, flying around in a wingsuit around a tornado. So it just goes to show you how they really added to action movie type shit in this video game. And last, like I said, really short. Last, they showed The Quiet Man. Not really much to say. I was thinking it's gonna be something along the lines of like Sleeping Dogs, which is, I felt as though it was kind of an underrated game. They did make, it was kind of underrated game. It could be, combat could be very similar. If that's true, it could be a pretty solid game, but we don't know much about it except there's some dude. He doesn't talk and he fights. It's really all we got from that trailer. There were some things missing. Also they had they showed a Dragon Quest 11 for, was it PS4 and Switch or something like that. And they showed Octopath Traveler, which is also for Switch. It's a turn-based RPG. They showed a Monster Hunter crossover with Final Fantasy 14. So like I think Rathalos is going to Final Fantasy 14, adding probably some other stuff to it. And also apparently the same is going to happen for Monster Hunter World, where they're going to get stuff from Final Fantasy 14. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think Hamid and the cactus dude, Cactar or whatever his name is. That's gonna be in Monster Hunter, so it's kind of like a crossover where they get content from each one. But there was games that were missing. Final Fantasy 7, I didn't expect to see that. Just being honest, I really didn't expect to see that. The Avengers project, I wanted to see something about that, and we got nothing. So what I would rate this conference, I'll give it about a 5. I know I'm being harsh this year, but I'll give it about a 5. Just because I think if they would have showed the Avengers something about it, it would have been higher, up to at least a 6. Just so short. And, I don't know. It's just, even though they did show some good games, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the Just Cause 4, I just didn't feel like it was long enough. They also showed Kingdom Hearts. Which I don't know why I didn't mention up here, but it was essentially the same thing that Microsoft showed. So I mean, hell, Sony shows the trailer, but it's a different one. To me, it's the best one, the one Sony showed. But like I said, I'll go with 5, maybe 5.5, maybe, but pretty average conference from Square Enix. Wasn't as bad as people say it was, though. Next, you got Ubisoft. Now, oh my gosh, some of these conferences start out with a cringe, and Ubisoft seems to always do it. They started out with Just Dance. What the fuck with Just Dance? Just Dance 2019, and they had some people wearing fucking bright colors and a dancing panda. At this point, Ubisoft just does it every year because they know I guess people expect them to do it. So getting past the cringe, you get to see Beyond Good and Evil 2 actually show a little gameplay. Apparently Jay, who's the protagonist from the first game, is an antagonist in this one. So we don't know what exactly happened. A lot of people thought it was a prequel. I was like, man, I'm thinking it's a sequel. I don't see why they would make a prequel. And the game looks good. Hopefully we see more. But that's definitely a good showing from them. Next they showed, let's see, Gordon Levitt came out there. He was talking about, I think he was talking about how fans can, all those, also the developers that came out there, they were talking about how fans can contribute to like some of the art, different things in Beyond Good and Evil 2. So I think that was the main reason he came out there. Next, they showed Trials Rising. They spent way too long on this. For a game that's essentially the same game with Trials of the Blood Dragon and the first Trials. Essentially the same game. And they spent way too long. Next, they showed Division 2. It's going to be free DLC, so we'll have to see how they do the microtransactions and stuff like that. But I don't know. I may give it a chance, but it doesn't look like it's that much different. It's hard to do an MMO like this unless it's like in a fantasy setting, just because you can be more creative with your enemies. You can be more creative with bosses, like your raid bosses and stuff like that. This right here, you're just fighting dudes. You're just fighting humans. Maybe you'll throw like a tank or a helicopter like in the first game, but for the most part, it's just gonna be a dude that just has more health, and you got to shoot more bullets into him. It's really hard to. It's restricted by its setting. It's restricted by its setting. So I don't know. I don't know what to say. It takes place in DC. I think I talked about this yesterday, but they just gave us a little bit more information about the game. Next, they showed Mario and Rabbids. The original music maker for the Donkey Kong Country for Super Nintendo came out and did a couple of songs, and they showed the Donkey Kong trailer. He's going to be in the Mario Rabbids game, I think very soon, June 26th, as a matter of fact. Cool. I think that was an underrated game for Nintendo. They get more DLC to it. Next, they showed in-depth gameplay of Skull and Bones. Honestly, one of their best showings. Showing pretty much ship combat. I don't know. It looks like it's gonna have a single player story and have multiplayer. They didn't show multiplayer. It was mostly single player, and it took a lot from Assassin's Creed 4, which is a good thing because Assassin's Creed 4's ship combat was really good, and hopefully they expand on that just because that's really what most of this game is about. My biggest problem is when you board the ships, it's a cutscene. I don't like that. At least let me go on the ship and fight, earn that victory over the other ship. Just saying, that's probably my biggest problem. But this gameplay they showed was really good, actually. Next, they showed Transference, which is like a VR game. It's a horror VR game. Not really much to say about it. Elijah Wood came out and kind of showed it. Not really much to say. Next, they showed Starlink, which is a flight sim. So they got a couple games with like flight sim gameplay in it with the Beyond Good and Evil 2. And then with this game, they show Star Fox in it. I'm going to get that out of the way. They show Star Fox. That alone is going to get a bunch of people to buy it. And I'm pretty sure he's exclusive to only the Switch. Come on, they're not letting Star Fox go to any other platform. Nintendo's going to protect their IPs. They're not letting them go to another platform. You You got to completely understand that. But it looked good. They showed a toy, which I didn't care about. Hopefully that is not a requirement to get the good crap in the game. But with all the stuff you can change on the ship, customization looks really good for your ship. So it looked like a pretty good game. I'll give them that. Next, they showed a new faction, Chinese, for Honor. New expansion, Marching Fire, comes with a siege, castle siege mode. So yeah, they're still supporting this game. I believe they're still supporting Rainbow Six Siege. They didn't come out in this E3, but that's a game they've been supporting for a while, and For Honor seems like it's going to be that game that's going to continue that trend. Next, they showed, well, last but not least, they showed Assassin's Creed Odyssey. They've gone to the yearly thing. Last year you had Assassin's Creed Origin, which kind of brought the franchise back. By the way, I haven't finished it, but it brought the franchise back, and just coming off Syndicate, which Syndicate wasn't bad. It was Unity that really screwed up everything. Kind of fans lost interest. Interest came back with Origins, with the Egypt setting. Odyssey is in ancient Greece. I'm sorry, and you get to pick your protagonist, male or female, and it didn't look too bad. You could tell what they showed was an older build. Some of the lip sync, some of the animations for the combat. It didn't look as good as Origins did, and they're pretty much piggybacking right off all the features, that entire engine from Origins, and just putting it in a different setting. That's essentially what they're doing. But for Square Enix, I'll give them like a 6.5. I'll give them a 6.5 because they did show. I thought Odyssey looked alright. Starlink, Skull and Bones, Division didn't care about that, and Beyond Good and Evil 2. Hell, I raised that to a 6.5. I'll raise that to a 6.5. Honestly close to a 7 because I do like Beyond Good and Evil 2. The problem is spent way too much time on Trials Rising. Division 2 don't care. But I like Skull and Bones, I like the demo they showed. I like Starlink and what they showed. For Honor, never been a For Honor player, and like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So I did think they had a good conference. Much better than people thought. And big surprise, they didn't have the fake game chatter like they did. And well, I guess they used that for Microsoft's Division playthrough or whatever. But moving on, last press conference of the night, day 3 of E3 2018, Sony. Now, Sony starts with kind of, it's something they seem to be, they did a couple of times actually. They started out with like a musical number. Then it went on to The Last of Us Part 2. And Ellie, as everyone pretty much already knows, is the main protagonist. No Joel, we didn't see him at all. We did see him in another like cinematic trailer, but we don't know what happened to him. So obviously it's gonna be a while. No date, but the gameplay looked good. Heavily scripted, but the graphics are really good, and I'm pretty sure the gameplay is gonna be really close to that. So that was a good showing. It showed some of the stealth. The game's still gory. I didn't think that was something they would change. So Last of Us Part 2 looks good. And here's the thing. It seems a lot of people, because Ellie's gay in the game. She was, if you played the DLC for the first Last of Us, you already knew that. I think people are too focused on, I think it's people on both sides or whatever. They're too focused on, it's gender pushing for the people who are against it, and people who only think a game's good because it has quote unquote diversity or whatever. No, a good game. The only thing that matters to me is the game good. Now, if they're pushing, I don't necessarily think they're really pushing gender in this game. Now, there have been some games, you probably point out another game that was at E3 where you can see, they definitely pushing an agenda. But it was already known that she was a lesbian. It was already known in the first game that she was one. So I don't necessarily think it's huge agenda pushing since it's already been established in the universe. So people who on both sides are just being weird right now about it. But the gameplay of the show looked good. Here's the problem I have with Sony's and why their score is lower than probably it would be if they didn't have this crap. After they showed Last of Us, which Last of Us Part 2, which they were like in a 10 or whatever, and after that they had like a 10-minute intermission, completely killed momentum, especially if they would have led with this next game, which this definitely lowers my score. But if they would have led directly from Last of Us Part 2 to this game, their score would be much higher just because of the pacing would have been better, even despite them having a shorter show. Next, they showed Ghost of Tsushima, which is probably the best demo game of any game at E3. To me, it's an open world samurai game made by the creators of Infamous, which is Sucker Punch. It's feudal Japan, and it's trying to be accurate. I thought it was going to be some fantasy involved. That shot when near the end of the trailer when he was fighting that one woman was one of the best shots I've seen in a video game in a while. With the leaves blowing, the sunset in the background. Game looks good. And a friend of mine was asking, you sure this is Sucker Punch making this game? Yep. So this game looks really good. And coming into it, a lot of people, most people were like, wanted to see Last of Us Part 2. That was going to be their game. This one snuck up on a lot of people. Great showing. Next, they show Control, game made by Remedy, the makers of Quantum Break, by the way. And this is essentially Quantum Break. The chick has like time powers or whatever. This is essentially Quantum Break. Microsoft didn't want to make the Quantum Break 2, which I think is a mistake. They should at least try the second one. But Control, I think it's multiplat though. But definitely like Quantum Break. Next, they show Resident Evil 2 remaster. There's rumors that Capcom was definitely working on this, and it looks good. Although Leon Claire's face looks a lot different than it originally did or any other game. But they're working on it. January 25th, 2019. Definitely, if it looks like this, it definitely seems like it's still keeping, it's amping up the horror. And that's what Resident Evil's always been about. You saw 7 went back to it, but it went to first person. I believe this is going to, you look at it, there's actually gameplay, I believe. There's a little bit of gameplay, so it's going to go back to the third person, which is probably going to get me to get the game and play it. Because I didn't like the first person of Resident Evil 7, but I did like them kind of going back to the horror element. But I wanted to be in third person like the games in the past. And I think Resident Evil 2 is going to do it, and it's going to look really good. Next, to show Kingdom Hearts Pirates of the Caribbean. This is the best demo of Kingdom Hearts throughout entire E3. Square Enix showed the same one as Microsoft, so they're one and the same. They showed a little bit different things. But showing the Pirates of the Caribbean is definitely the best looking world that they've shown. And they also announced a PS4 Pro Kingdom Hearts 3 bundle, which you got to try hard on these bundles, man. That bundle, it was okay, but it was like decals on a PlayStation 4 Pro. You could have did a lot more, change the entire color of the console itself, But that also comes with the Kingdom Hearts remixes that have been, they've been releasing over the years in between the gaps of 2 and 3. That's going to be big. A lot of people are going to get it for that. Obviously, you're probably already a Kingdom Hearts fan. You probably already played those. One thing that disappoints me, though, why isn't the Xbox getting those remixes? Some of those people haven't played, the Kingdom Hearts 1 or the 3DS Kingdom Hearts or the PSP Kingdom Hearts. Come on, man. You're missing out on money when you can easily just sell it to these other people. That's what I thought. You were going to get an announcement at the Xbox one, and you can play those remixes. Next, they show Death Stranding. Still don't know much about the game. We know, I guess it's a third person. It's like it looks like a third person horror game, I guess. You got some creatures that aid you. I still don't understand the point of the baby. They got to tell me something. I thought Kojima was gonna come up there, but it's still weird. At least we know it's third person, and you can use a weapon, I guess. I don't know. Next big surprise, Neo 2, which is a lot of people was one of their better games of last year. I believe it came out last year. But they are announcing the Neo 2, so very early. I didn't think they were even working on this, but a lot of people were guessing it when it was coming on. Next they showed Spider-Man, and showed you more villains: Vulture, Scorpion, Rhino. Let me see. Electro, and of course, Spider-Man looks incredible. Definitely a must-buy. It comes out September. I don't remember the exact date, but it comes out in September. It's gonna be great. And they showed a From Software game. I could say they talked about Destiny 2, Forsaken trailer. Who cares? Last thing they showed was a From Software game. And I guess this is where the rumors were coming in. People thought they were working on a Bloodborne 2. Nope. They are working on a PSVR game. What the hell? Oh, I can't say that. I'm not even trying to say it. But you can look it up. It's a PSVR game. It's not Bloodborne 2. For Sony, what I would give that score, Ghost of Tsushima was amazing. But I got to give it a 7 because of that start. And it really hurt the pacing. But I think they had the best demo game in Ghost of Tsushima at E3. I'm thinking about all the other games that got demoed. That was the best one in my opinion. But I'm gonna go with the 7. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. You still have Nintendo coming up at 12 Eastern Standard Time. But like I said, let me know what you think about the conferences: Sony, Ubisoft, Square Enix. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Thanks for watching.